Over the last 2 years, you may have become aware of Krispy Co on Instagram through their numerous motorcycle giveaways, but they're more than just a motorcycle giveaway company. They are a parts manufacturer, a bike builder, and much more. Today, I talked to their owner and founder, Alex English, out of Grass Valley, California, and we talk everything about Krispy Co, about motorcycles, and even the upcoming Invitational in Olympia, Washington on November 16th. You are listening to Do You Even Chopper? Hey, Alex, how's it going?
It's good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. You know, it's October up here, so it's starting to hit like the beginning of the rain season. And our rain season is like kind of this constant drizzle normally, but the beginning of it is actually kind of gnarly weather. And so I think that's kind of bumming some people out, and I'm just getting excited for it
Dude,
because it means I'm forced to be inside more and do things that I put off all year, like building a bike or two.
yep.
But other than that, can't complain. How about yourself?
We are kindred spirits, dude. So at one point Emily and I went on tour to Washington and around the Fuge and all that because she not so much, but I love rain and weather and cold and fog, which isn't always good for motorcycling, but being the Irishman that I am, I love it, dude. So like everyone gets all pissed and I'm like, oh dude, it's finally fall and raining and like shit, this sucks. And I'm like, dude, it's the best.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. I love being indoors. I love working in the shop while it's raining outside. It's just like the best. But I also do like riding, and it is really nice when it's not freezing balls or super hot. So my riding season's like freaking spring and fall are the best. Everything else is a
Yeah.
little bit rough.
You kind of get it both ends, right? Like it's super hot in the summer, and then
Yep.
you have um super cold, like snowy winters sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then you have a fire season too, right? Like that
Yeah, which
October you have to worry
I
about.
it's technically coming up, but it's been pretty good, dude. I don't know what's up. Like we had 2 years that were super brutal. When we first moved up, like 180 houses burned 4 miles from us, and at that time, I had the shop at my house when we had moved up
Oh,
from Sacramento and went on the property. And I had brought all my shit up from the shop, and dude, I was like barely, I hadn't even got my shipping containers. Dude, I had like bikes underneath a freaking easy up tent that had like the tent walls. There's like Panhead, 45,
yeah.
like really, really nice bikes. And I literally left them. I grabbed what I could. I knew the fire probably wasn't going to come to us, but we got evacuated. But we did have to leave. And I just was kind of ignorant. I was like, there's no way it's going to get to us, dude. Like, I don't need to grab everything. They're just being weird and telling us to kick rocks, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but nothing happened, so it was good. But in the second year, big fires again, and then this year's been pretty chill. So
I want to ask you what brought you up the hill from Sacramento to like Grass Valley, Nevada City area, from a more populated to kind of a, um, it's still populated, but not like Sacramento populated. And then also, what was that transition like culturally? Like, were you embraced when you got there, or were people kind of like, "Who's this guy?" Because it's small community up there.
Yeah, so and actually it was Colfax, which is like a town
Oh,
adjacent to Grass Valley, Nevada City. And what really went down is like right in the pandemic, right? And like the shop that I had in Sacramento, dude, I was there for over 10 years, and like I never thought once the shop had gotten to a certain size that I could ever even unravel that thing. And I was kind of depressed because I really didn't want to be there. I never wanted to get stuck in Sacramento. It just kind of happened. And then through the pandemic, like we just had like luck of the draw, got an opportunity to like flip a house, and thought we were going to lose everything on that. Then we had like, loans and all that stuff. We were trying to, do the hustle in a bigger way. I thought we were going to get screwed, and the pandemic actually like paid out and everybody hemmed up and weren't selling their homes, and we were ready to sell it right in that moment. And the guy's like, dude, you guys are going to kill, because like no one's willing to sell their shit. So long story short, we did better than we thought we ever could. And it like opened up this space where financially it was like, man, we might be able to do something different. I really wanted to restart the shop. I had kind of gotten just it had created into something I just wasn't super happy in anymore. And especially when I had that time away, when I lost all my customers, I made some side money. I was building bikes that I wanted to build and flipping them. And then like everybody was stuck at home, and chopper swapper scene like blew up because everyone's getting checks and whatever. So like, dude, selling parts went nuts, and people were selling, so just, I got into that whole game of like just flipping parts and bikes, and wasn't so reliant on customer builds. And I had a metal fabrication shop, so it was like a lot of commercial work too.
Oh yeah.
So once all that went dead, I got this new thing, and Emily's mom lives in Grass Valley, and she's got acreage with a orchard and horses. Like, dude, like the most gorgeous property ever. And every time we go up there for holidays or whatever, I'm like, dude, this is how you live, man. And like, I always thought I was a city guy and that I would stay around population, but because even when she'd come down, she's like, I don't like coming down here. It's like, whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, it's cool down here, whatever, And like, what do you mean? But then the more I'd come up and I'd see it, I was like, dude, like, what would it be like to reset on a property and just work out of the house and trim all the fat and like not have massive bills and whatever. And dude, it was great. And I did it for like 2.5 years. But and really, like the house that we ended up finding, it was a double wide, no running water off the side of a hill. We had to like live in our RV for a bit to get the like one bathroom running, and then one bedroom that we could stay in. Meanwhile, the main focus was building out the garage, and it had like a huge basement, dude, that was like 65 feet or 70 feet, actually 70 by 12. So it was weird. You could barely see a bike around in there, but I made it work. People look at my early Instagram, earlier days of my Instagram, you could see me down in that spot. So we really spent a lot of time getting that shit going, because she knows that that's like our main bread and butter was the bikes and parts and all that stuff. So did that for a couple of years and got to reset. And it was good, dude. It was such a great break from the crazy that I now live in again, because I'm a glutton for pain.
Yeah, but it's a different environment. I mean, just a change of scenery sometimes is a good thing. And your local customer base is way different in Sacramento than it would be in the mountains there comparatively. And then so most of your stuff's probably switched, I would assume, to people from out of town and online and
all internet, dude. And and I learned that at the shop down there. Is all of a sudden I was like, I don't even need to have a brick and mortar anywhere, dude. Like, I honed the shipping game and was like, dude, it's worldwide at this point. Like, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And then especially like, doing the property thing, which everybody wanted to do, right? During the pandemic, I was like, I want to move out of the city and go into the cuts. And I actually had the ability to do it. Well, this is what I was going to say. When you said people, how they embrace it. Well, it was, I was shooting photos of like one of the bikes I had built down on the end of the street, and this dude in a truck rolls up and he's like, dude, sick bike. And I'm like, and he's like, oh man, starts talking about his bike and some people in the neighborhood. And I'm in this weird neighborhood where it's only one way in, one way out. And I was warned, like, be careful where you go on people's properties. These are old timers that came out in the whatever time, and like, they'll shoot you. Like, it can be pretty crazy for sure.
Yeah.
But when and this is what's cool about the whole chopper Harley thing, it's like, you're like instantly like accepted because of that. And that's always been my case ever since I've been into bikes. Like, oddly enough, it gets you out of shit and obviously into shit too. But so the guy he's like, I'm going to come back and pick you up. I'm going to show you around to some stuff. And I was like, okay. And honestly, I was kind of spooked, like I was getting set up, but the guy came back in his truck. I jumped in, drove me all through the neighborhood, told me what all these houses were, who's got what. It was really trippy. He took me to this one guy's house, building a panhead on his kitchen a dining table in the room, like in a cabin. It was sick. I was like, holy shit, this is like the real deal. There's like hardcore old biker dudes that like went into the mountains and fucking stayed, you know what I mean? And I happened to have a guy catch me and show me a little bit of it. And even now, with the shop is getting more recognized. Like you meet a couple people that introduce you to more, and I really try to keep the shop here in Grass Valley like really like kind of a secretive location. I don't really want it to be a destination. And really keep it client based. And like, if you're here, you got business to be here. It's not like a whatever, because my old shop turned into that. And that's what I wanted to get away from, because you can't work when just people are coming by.
People are always there.
It's like, dude, I wish I could pay my rent on fucking bullshitting all day, but I can't, you know? So we're trying to keep this one under, like, keep it in check and balance. But meeting a lot of people, but once again, like, people like motorcycles, man, and they like choppers. So it definitely gives you an in that regard.
Did you already know, like, some of the, like, younger guys up there, like Gus and stuff, who were kind of death traps and chopper guys? Did you know them before moving there? Or?
Yeah, Gus is a legend in Grass Valley. He owned one of the skate shops here.
Yeah.
We got his bike in the shop as we speak right now. So
right on.
An honor, dude. Absolute honor that he let us touch his motorcycle. It is the tightest. Like, you want to talk about, like, we all caught it really quick, but like, man, Gus's bike is so fucking proper. Like, it's a shovel head, you know, I think it's a 4-over dual disc front brake, proper seat, stanced really well, super tight. You can just tell it's a mile muncher, dude. And it just is like, it's different than your average, like, look like form over function choppers. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see, because that guy's put a lot of miles on that bike. He spent a lot of time, like, just kind of dialing it in with a lot of, obviously, putting miles on shit. So it was rad to get to fuck with his bike and honestly get to ride it too, which I don't even know if we're allowed to.
Well, you have to test
it. Ride your bike on the streets. Is that like going to get us in trouble?
Yeah, it's one of those unique places in California that, like, I think some people make a kind of myth of in a weird way. It's kind of like Eureka, Arcata, Humboldt County has that vibe to a certain degree. And then, like, where I grew up in the high desert, like Joshua Tree, 29 Palms, like all that swath all the way out to, like, almost Bakersfield. Like, there's places that have, like, their own kind of myth that's probably built around drug trade and bikers, but
especially here.
Like, how that manifests now is like a weird, like, yuppie fetishizing of it, and it's always a trip how that kind of interfaces, like the old school versus the new school. And one thing I've always appreciated about that area is that the new people aren't total assholes usually up there. But I've only been there a few times. I've recorded a few times up there, but with someone who lives up there. But yeah, it's a trip. So I'm glad that you're settling in. How did you transfer away from the house to the space you're in? Did you build the space or did you come across it?
So, like, you know, the story goes is I'd kind of just gotten to the point at the house where, like, one, the house kind of was a little bit difficult to do what I wanted. I thought I can get bikes in and out of the basement better. I, like, made this path, and I totally got stuck on it a couple times, especially it was dirt, and I realized that I couldn't get the grade right, and I was like, I, like, need help getting bikes in and out way more than I expected, and I'm usually home alone doing it, or I've got Emily, which she's a pretty tough chick and can help me, but just made it kind of a pain. I was like, shit, this didn't really plot like I had planned.
Yeah.
I'm super obsessed with, like, I really wanted to do the hardtail thing and I wanted to make a product and all that stuff. But I quickly realized I couldn't do it all myself. I couldn't, like, slang used parts to make a living, flip bikes, travel and get shit. Like, you're spending a lot of windshield time fucking finding stuff. So I realized I couldn't do it all myself, you know? And right when that kind of happened, I kind of just like told the universe, I was like, dude, I think I'm down. I think I want to get some help. I think I want to expand. There's more that I can do here. And I'm stepping over a lot of opportunity. And to be totally honest, like I was kind of getting lonely. I was like, kind of want community in this again. Like I'd like to work with people and not just be me. And, Emily is my lady. That can get complicated. Like I can't be her boss and have her, it's just not going to really work. That stuff's tough. So anyways, lo and behold, Emily puts on with this chick she met. She's like, hey, her and her boyfriend want to come over and do a game night. And I'm like, Jesus, dude. I'm like, I don't want to like hang out with some dude I don't know. I'm an extroverted introvert, right? Like most of us.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. I was like, all right, like whatever. Dude ends up being super cool, and it's happens to be Sam,
Oh, cool.
And so it's Sam that comes over, and we play a board game, and the dude just like whoops our ass. And I had so much fun, and like his strategy and the way he did it, playing the game for the first time. I was like, damn, I like just dig the way this guy's thought process is. It was like I even told him, I like your brain, and he's like, what? I'm like, I just like the way you think. And we broed out and went in the shops, and I showed him everything, and he had owned some properties that they were renting, and he'd just gotten done remodeling them and had moved up here to be with her. And it was like in the middle, like, yeah, I'm looking for a job. Here's like my resumes. I'm going to see what I can find in like the construction world and engineering or something. And I was like, well, fuck, dude, like maybe in interim, if you want, you can help me here and make something kicks. And like, he was like, sure. It was zero. It was like dog shit money, right, to come help. I didn't have a lot at the time, nor do I know what people make out there in the world. I've been self-employed for too long. But he came the next day or whatever to do the help me out. He goes, I'm like, here's all the parts I want to put on eBay. You can here's how I search stuff. This is my method. And he immediately tenfold improved it within like 1 hour. He's like, how instead of doing it like this, we do this, and you make these little slips and da-da-da-da-da. And because he's like, I don't know shit about bikes and these parts. He's like, if you do this, I'll be able to actually make it worth it to post this stuff quickly enough and accurately, right?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that was fucking smart. And then he just really liked it. I really liked working with him, and dude, within 2 months, I was like, I'm gonna get a building. He's like, really? And I'm like, if you'll stick with me, like, I'll go get a fucking building, and like, here's all my plans. I want to do parts. And he's like, cool. I went to school for drawing and engineer stuff. And he was like, this is what I went to school for. I'm fucking down. And like, and in brand design and all that stuff. So I was like, dude, this is perfect. And I got and rented the building that we're in today. I only rented half of it, or actually more than half of it at the time. And there was another dude that was helping out with media, and I wanted to do a big YouTube channel, and come to find that's way, way, way tougher than I had ever expected. A lot of work. And to pay someone, I was living off of those giveaways, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we had some income, but it was tough. But nonetheless, that's kind of what pulled it out, was just like the fucking shit just started lining up, and I just followed the path. It seemed like the way to go. It was like funny. Emily's mom, she's like, when I got the building, she's like, why are you doing this? She's like, you had it made at home. Like, you're doing great. Take this risk, like just stay home. And I'm like, I can't, like, I'm like, and it's deep down, I'm like, it's not me doing it. Like, this is fucking happening like in front of me. I'm just like showing up for it every day. And like,
yeah, you're following the breadcrumbs.
Dude, I was just following the breadcrumbs. Exactly. And that's why I tell people, like, it's not me. Like, nobody works here by mistake. Nobody worked here and left here by mistake. Like, the whole thing is like, not that it's like written somewhere, but like it's there's a bigger, not to get all fucking woo-woo and shit, but like it's big. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some shit was happening. So yeah, I've just been like riding the wave of life through it.
Let's go back to the parts part, because I think that's kind of skipped over.
Yeah.
And lost to some people who might just know you from the giveaways, which we'll talk about eventually maybe. But so you design and fabricate and put out your own parts. What was the impetus? Was it like you wanted to do hardtails and then after that it was other parts, or did you have kind of a set kind of things you wanted to achieve to
Yeah.
start with? Like was there a progression, or are you still kind of crossing off things you want to get to?
Oh man. So I have a list in my phone that's like fucking this. So you get to the bottom of it. So really where the parts thing, one, I've been building bikes for over, I think I'm at my 22nd year, right? Like not known in the industry, but I've been there the whole time. I just wasn't loud about it. I didn't do shows, but I've always built bikes for commission, for people, myself, whatever. You know, I've been in a shop since I was 17. So, um, and I've worked for guys. I worked for a guy that he was a partner with Kiryakin, which is like aftermarket kind of chromy garbage you put on your bike, whatever. I built a bike for that guy, and he always would get on me. He's like, "Man, Alex, you're so talented with all the one-off parts you make, and this, that, and the other." He's like, "But dude, you're never gonna get," and he would say the word "rich," or you're never gonna get like stable just doing that. It's really tough. Like you need to make a product, man. And that was at 23 years old. This guy told me that, and it stuck with me forever. And I've like kind of tried to get an idea, but I just didn't have the wherewithal to like fucking do it. It just wasn't there. And I think for good reason too. I think timing is important, but I wasn't ready. But anyway, so like I always had all the parts ideas too. And like really Sam was kind of the catalyst to see that I could have somebody like that could draw these things, that could help me through the production end and help me figure out organization. Like I'm really ADD, ADHD. I'm fucking all over the place. So needed someone that was stable enough. Of what I come to find, I didn't know I needed that till he showed up. But really what it comes down to the parts today is one, what's going to make my bike building easier? And a lot of the time hardtails are hella expensive, and they were getting really hard to get during the pandemic too, right? Like that whole, like you couldn't get Evo or the V-twin hardtails you couldn't get, like everybody just dried up. So that was
stopped doing it, and a bunch of others. Yeah.
That was an easy kill. And I already had done tons of hardtails. I'd make them from scratch. And I'm like, dude, I had an idea for a hardtail that'd be easier to install and whatever. It was the way that I would modify the V-twin hardtails. I'm like, I should just make one like this. And then I'm not biting someone else's hardtail. It's like my own design. And that's when, you know, and through the giveaways I was making more money than I had done in the past with my thing and not having overhead. So I was able to buy a CT Newman frame jig, which that changed everything for me. Having that fixture, it really was able to allow me to dial in.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we came up with the hardtail and all that, and then I just, you know, mounting an oil tank after the hardtail was like, there's a lot of clearancing issues and this, that, and the other, and the battery. So it was like, all right, let's make it's funny, I'm talking about a part that hasn't even come out yet. It's still whatever, but you know, dog bone risers, fucking relocating the voltage regulator. Like I always want to remove my voltage regulator. I never liked where it was. So we made a voltage regulator plate, and sometimes choosing that's really tough, like what part to move forward on. And we've learned a lot through some where like they were not worth doing. They were way too expensive to make and time consuming. And we've had to like lose out on some shit, but which is really for me, like the rebirth in my motorcycle career was figuring out how to manufacture parts. It's been so much fun and super hard. And like, you get a lot of wins and a lot of losses, dude. Like you never know if people are going to like jive on what you're making, or you go into it thinking, oh, this will be easy. And it's like way, way harder. And then manufacturers hit you back. They're like, or, you know, the CNC shop, they're like, these are going to be X dollars. You're like, fuck, dude, I can't even sell it for that. And that's the base cost. Like, so you learn a lot of like, now I know a lot better when I choose a part that like, hey, let's start this one. I know I can make it affordable, because chopper dudes, like some cats, more money's come into the scene, but at the end of the day, like it's a blue collar deal. So you gotta be cost effective for everybody. You know what I mean? So, and that's a challenge. And then not to mention, you got to be able to get those prices right. You got to buy hundreds of these things. And you're like, shit, I don't even want them. And I'm going to be stuck with 200 fucking parts that I'm not going to build that many bikes to put them on, you know? So we do smaller run stuff, eat it on the back end. But anyways, I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, it kind of does. I mean,
Yeah.
you have stuff you still want to get to, but now you kind of know the process a lot better, basically.
Yeah, we have a huge catalog. I'm gonna have a huge catalog, period, hands down.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have so many parts. Like there's as we speak, like that Barracuda bike we built. So that bike had 17 prototypes on it. All of them we're gonna push through. So 17 prototypes. I wouldn't say they're all prototypes. The hardtail's obviously out. There's some other stuff on there, but on one bike, 17, and I think 10 of those are like on the website, and 7 are we're still dialing out for packaging and this, that, and the other. There's like, and then dude, like just getting something on the website ready to like, dude, it's a lot of work. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, how much money have we spent? Like,
yeah.
just
and that goes into like, how much do you sell it for to kind of,
yeah. And you're like, yeah, it's going to take 500 of those to sell before you even see $1 back with after how much R&D time, packaging, like building to put it on the website. Like we had a part that took a week or two. The foot controls took like 2 weeks to get proper on the website to where it made sense the way that you purchased it because of all the variants. And it's fucking fun, but it's also super fun and like.
Well, and you got to get it right because the worst part as a consumer is when you go to a site and you look at a part and you can't tell if it's going to work for you or not.
Yeah.
Like you're like, well, that looks like it might be the right part, but there's no way to tell and there's not enough information. I mean, I think some of the bigger websites like J&P Cycles or whatever, like they're not the best at at like photos and other things that you could kind of visually tell. And then you read the specs and it says fitment, but those fitments are oftentimes for stock bikes. And very few stock bikes out there that you're chopping these days, unless you're a fucking genius and you want to chop an M8 or something. Like everything else has already been altered some way, right? But so it makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense why that goes into the cost of buying it. But
it's fun. That's cool though.
Yeah. Do you try and keep the overhead like within a manageable? Like, do you eat your losses on some of that work, or is it all built into the price? Like, are you eating losses on like?
We eat it, dude. Like pretty bad right now. But I don't call it's college, dude. Like we're getting our diplomas. You know what I mean? Like we're learning the hard knock way. Like luckily, there's like been super cool people. Like Mike over at Old STF has been a mentor. Like early on, making sure like, hey, dude, like make your prices here so that when you want to give it to a distributor, like they can get their cut and you still make a few bucks, and like really dive that in, like learning that there's the internet, there's so many tools and like learning margins and like how to actually like, and Sam, this is where Sam really came in, is he knew how to build cogs, and which is like, every nut, bolt, washer, fucking every minute that's spent in welding and this and that, and he puts these things together. Like, this is what this cost us, exact amount. And then you plug it into the margin calculator and it tells you exactly how to do it. So there's tools for it. And then sometimes you hit it and you're like, damn, that's fucking too much money, dude. Like, okay, so where can we try to get this better? Right. And a lot of the times it's always going to be buy more of it. And it's really scary in the beginning. So we do our small runs where a lot of the time it costs us the same amount of money as what we're selling it for, because it hasn't shown us that it's safe enough for us to go for a bigger.
You need the sales data.
Correct. And it's just because we're so new at that particular thing, which I think we're doing a really good job as far as like playing it safe and checking it out. And then also, we turn so many bikes of 1 to 2 a month or whatever. So it's like all those parts go on there, which right off the bat, we're saving a lot of money. We're like, damn, we just got that thing that's, usually $250. I'm, 185 into it or 150 into it, right? Like that's cool to get to put on there. Or I'd run the, whatever, dude. I'm like the blem stuff, we get to put that on our shit. But nonetheless, and then Prism's been really helpful too, which was something we didn't expect. they reached out really into some of the stuff we were making, and then like gave us really great feedback as well. And then we're like, just call us and ask us. And then we like really jived and talked. And it's just that place. There's not a lot of us up there to like, and then some people are really weird. They want nothing to do with you because they feel like, there's a scarcity and you're going to step on those. So like, it was really cool to see just like where some company people were like really embracing, and then, others are not. And that's totally fine. Like I totally get it. But yeah, so we've been embraced by some heavier hitters, which was really, really cool.
I mean, it's heavy hitters, but it's also like, and this probably has come up in every podcast, it's like the niche of the niche market, like chopper parts are a niche market of customized motorcycles, which are a niche market into it. It's like you're kind of slivering down like your market availability, like in that like like the heavy hitters for chopper part, that manufacture their own, the prisms are like on this level, but you're someone who does every kind of exhaust tip for every motorcycle out there is like up in this world, right? It's a totally different reality of
we're in the microbrew land.
And so you kind of want to help sustain the guys who are on a similar wavelength and size, because it also, by growing their kind of market awareness, it grows your market awareness in a weird way too.
That was my big thing when like there was some weird stuff, and it's like, dude, man, like more the merrier. I kind of was mentored by people that thought that way in my early years. It's like, look how many burger places are on every corner and gas stations. Like, it's fine. Like, it's going to be okay. And like, I had to learn pretty early on that like the world's way bigger than my scope and my wallet. Like, people think and act different. They're like, I can't always look at everything through my own lens. That's super limiting, which is something we deal with a lot in this industry, like super limiting beliefs. And it's like, that's fine. Have it. Like, I feel for those people. I'm stoked I don't have that. Like, my brain wants to sometimes, and I have to tell it like, dude, like, no way. It's so much bigger than you think. Like, I've proven it time and time again too, that the world's way bigger than I think. Like, where I'm at today, we have, dude, like, I never in a million years thought within a year and a half, like I've only been Krispy Co for a year and a half, and we're up to 6 employees, dude. Like, I mean, I'm rocking and rolling. It's wild. It's scary. It's sketchy, but like, I could have never thought that I could have done something like this. But like, there's a community out there that supports us in a way, like through our giveaways and through our parts, and we slang bikes and we slang used parts. Like, we have a lot going on. There's a lot of people here because I have us in a bunch of avenues to generate funding, which really everything we do generates funding for our parts line and our website. That's like, everything goes into that, right?
Circular.
Like, because but that thing doesn't feed a shit. It's a lost leader at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, so all the other things, and everybody knows that. Like, we all know we're all doing other things, like inherently feeding that baby so they can blossom and grow into like this much bigger thing. Which it's happening, right? Like, we look at it now, we can see where there were days we had like months or weeks, I'd look at the website, I'm like, damn, I've only made a couple $100 on that thing. Like, holy shit, and like, that looks a lot different today. It's still far from sustainable, and like, it can't support our team by any stretch of the imagination, but that's why we do other things. And, I call it crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. And a lot of people know that's what they're getting, like, so I'm super open about what we're doing, how we're
let's talk about that. Let's talk about the giveaways a bit and how that kind of funds your staffing and everything. Because I think some people lump what you're doing in with, and this is not my observation, and this isn't how I feel about these individuals, but there's a sense by some that people are just flipping bikes and preying on old guys to make themselves famous and make money. That's like an internet criticism that's out there, and I don't necessarily believe it, because the people that they're criticizing have been in the game for a long time and are true enthusiasts for the most part. But I'm sure that's kind of been lobbed at you guys.
Oh yeah, we
Whereas
get
it's actually just part of your business plan to help fund something that would be more of a sustainable give back to the community by having a parts company, right? So maybe walk through that a bit because I think that there's probably some strong misconceptions out there by
yeah,
internet ninjas.
yeah, yeah. That's and I mean I'm going to kind of dive into a few things on that too. Like talk about like big thing for me. Like I'm really deep in the sense of like growth and personal growth and all that stuff. Like Um, I knew coming into this when I first said, I'm going to go for this big dream of mine. I don't care who's going to shit on me, even if it's myself and my own shitty thinking. Like, I'm going to fucking do this, like that kind of like that deathbed or, like the regrets of the dying shit. I was like, I'm just going to fucking go for it. Like, because the biggest thing that ever held me back was my own fear of like what people judging me and my own fear of failure and all that shit, and, so coming into this thing and doing that and like having a lot of success and doing the giveaway bikes, and I think a lot of it had to do with one. I would like to think the bikes are pretty cool, right? Like people dig the bikes. From what they tell me, they like them, and they show it when we run those, and we have hundreds and hundreds of people play, and also the price factor of like $33, right? Because like I played all those things, everybody else's shit for $100, and like I couldn't do it very regularly. And when I did and I lost, like that bummed me out losing $100, like,
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, $100 is $100, dude. So, and I did a pretty big one where I ran a super sick stretched out 56 panhead with a fucking highboy roadster. And dude, that thing took me like 2.5 weeks to finish, and it was brutal. Like if anybody thinks that like running, we're calling them giveaways for legalities, but like if fucking anybody wants to do those things, dude, you got to stretch them out. It's the worst feeling ever, dude. You feel like you're spamming all your fucking friends, you're fucking pandering for fucking money. Like it sucks when you get into it, like if it doesn't go quick, fucking Ryan's in fucking Afghanistan, dude. Like it's painful. It's painful if they go fucking stale. But like I did them, and I mean, we had one that we did a pan, and then it wasn't for, it was for quite a bit of money. And I'd come with that idea I did that one. I came up with an idea. I did a panhead for $22 was the buying.
Oh, I remember that. I think
and it went
caught my attention.
Hours. Finished in 2 hours. I freaked out. We went way over. I didn't know how to shut off the PayPal. It was nuts. I was like,
I remember that.
I couldn't count the money. I was like, what has just happened? I like got in a sailor suit and was like, it's out of control. Like it was fun. I had to refund like a bunch of money, dude, because you got to be square, right? It's the internet will eat you alive if you're not. So, and I don't want to screw people over either. So anyways, that went really good. And I realized it because I knew for me, I'm like, dude, I'd play them if they were cheaper. Because then it's like anybody can lose $20-$30. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
For the chance to win something. So I did that, and then I figured out, I'll do the $33 because then it's like for $33, if you're down for 100, you get 30 spots. And like the way that it worked in my brain, I'm like, I think that'd be a way funner play. And because when I did that first one at the 100, whatever, and dude, the second I pulled the ticket, I felt the disappointment of, I think that one was like 350 people or something. I was like, I just felt everyone get bummed except for 2 people because it was a 2-person win.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel good. It didn't make me feel good inside, but I knew it was something. It worked, and I knew where I wanted to go. And at the end of the day, like when they came to pick up the car and the panhead, like their fucking lives were changed. Like at the end of the day, like it'll bring tears to your eyes. You see what it does for them. It is fucking amazing, dude. It's a really, really cool experience. So anyways, I got a good taste of it. And so I started doing the ones for $33, and I've been running them for the past couple of years and kind of doing my thing.
Are you trying to do like one a month? Is that or is it just
like a couple right now? We're just kind of because of the growth and the team is so big, we can bang out bikes so fast. We are now doing commission builds, which are slowing down for that. So and a lot of it was like a means to an end. I don't want to stop doing it completely because I do feel a lot of people love the fact that we give them an opportunity to own a bike that they cannot buy on their own.
Yeah.
Or $33, right? So like at the end of the day, that is a fucking reality. Like it is giving someone the opportunity to own something that they can't own under their own funding, right? Without winning it, dude. So I do want to keep that going for people. We do have to.
Do you think if you stopped it, it would also create this vacuum where someone else would just start doing it, and then
maybe
And then you're
It's
kind of,
it's kind of gnarly, dude. Like at the end of the day, because I've had people approach me like, "Hey, man, fucking, I want to do this thing. Can you help me?" I'm like, "Yeah, make it $33, like, and do this and that and that and that." I gave them my full formula, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't wrap them up. And I even had people with big accounts hit me up and offer me a bunch of money to do reposts and all that. And what I found is it has nothing to do with the formula helps, but it's a lot of variables. And the one that I come to find is that I've actually built a really, really good following that trusted and supported me in the fact that like it's got to be that perfect storm, dude. Like, so and that's when I realized, like, holy shit, I have a fucking extremely valuable like following and people that like fucking actually give a shit, especially when I started putting out shirts and hats. Like people were buying, I'm like, holy fuck, I didn't even realize people gave a shit the way that they did. I really did. I thought it was just because it was cheap. You know, they like it because it's cheap because they don't have
I think personality goes a long ways.
Yeah, you know, so that's what I found. So when people hit me up, I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter how many people you have following you. Like clearly you should have at least, you know, you want to do a bigger raffle, you should have at least, you know, 5,000 to 10,000 people, but like they got to be real and they got to be down for you, dude. Like hopefully you've made some kind of connection with them that they're down, because I've met people like we went to Born Free and we do these things. Like people are like, dude, I don't even care about winning, man. I just love supporting you guys. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, clearly I want to win, but they're like, they're like, I see where you guys are going. Like people have watched from when I started this new venture, like went from me to Sam, Pucky to, you know, and like just, I keep introducing more people. And like, that was the big goal when I started to do this was, my main mentor, you know, he's a guy like me, dude, old degenerate skater, and he has 30 employees, dude. You know, like you never think this guy has this, but he told me like what it was like to like build this business where people have a job that supports their families that they like to go to, and they have, you know, they're supported and they make good money, they have fucking healthcare and all this shit.
Yeah.
When he like really hit me with that, because when I was at the house at one point, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I ain't fucking curing cancer. I'm not doing shit. I'm just like making toys for big boys. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I live in this like spiritual thing with like, I want to have value and substance in my life. So he fucking put that spark in me and I've run with it ever since. And like, dude, if people only knew the fucking, like what our morning meetings look like we are dying laughing the whole fucking one that guy Pucky, like I can't get him on camera to be as funny as he is in person, like the funniest human in the fucking world. Like our morning meetings are just like, I'm like, I gotta film these because they're fucking insane. But they'll probably get us in trouble because it's pretty bad too. But like dude, we laugh all day. Like every single person fucking loves coming to work. We get to do rad ass shit. I mean, dude, I get job offers all the time, dude. It's so crazy how many people, and that's what reminds me. Like because we get shit on as a company because of some of the stuff we do, and clearly nobody like crabs in a bucket. They don't want to see you succeed, and I get that. Yeah. It's hard to understand at first because I don't look at the world that way. So I'm like, why would you fucking say that to me? Or like, the fuck's your deal? And like, we've had it really, really bad. But also, I've talked to other people, and they're like, no. Like, we've had that too. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's just like. That's a weird wake up call to like somewhat successful is when the haters come out to shit on it.
Yeah, and everyone's like, that's when you've made it. And I'm like, well, it kind of sucks. Like it makes you not want to do it some days. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
man.
it's just legit hurtful.
Like I've had some shit said that I'm like, holy crap. But honestly, with the growth thing, it's been really good because like I have way thicker skin than when I started, dude. Like,
yeah,
people say some shit to me now. They DM, they put it in our comments, they say shit, and they get all mad. Hey, you scrub your shit. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking let your fucking negative ass fucking bullshit live on my fucking page. Yeah, I'm deleting your fucking comment, like for sure. And I'm never gonna respond to any of you ever.
Yeah.
They never get a response. And I write my responses so I can have it for myself and just be like, spell it out, and then I like delete it. I don't send it just so that I can, like, on some days when I need it, I'm like, I just need to just pretend like I was going to send this.
Yeah, for us, we kind of have this thing where we usually just delete a totally negative or sexist or racist comment. And then if someone like tries to pipe up more, then we fucking out them on stories
Yeah.
and then block them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're like a fucking misogynist, racist prick and like you're coming at us, like, first of all, wrong person. Like, that's not my vibe. Like, you know, was raised during Riot Girl in Olympia. It's definitely not my vibe, right? Like, so like, wrong person. And I've been like fighting with people like that forever. So it's like, I'm used to it. But the ones that I find hurtful are like people that you thought you were friends with, and then you kind of get successful and then they start shitting on it. And it's like, wow, why did you come after that? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
that stuff hurts like the most.
The person hasn't changed. They're just doing something that other people are enjoying. Like, why would you do that?
And everyone's like, "Oh, they're jealous," but I'm like, I can't understand that, so it's hard.
I don't think it's that. I think there's some other aspect.
It's that they're just pissed about their own world and this, that, and the other. This person's having this thing that they don't get to have, and it's like, that's what I've been told, and I just am like, maybe, but I think there's so many, like, dude, here's the deal. At the end of the day, you probably see it on your thing too, man. For every 20 good comments, we get one bad one. And the one bad one fucking rings so loud sometimes that I'm like, everyone's like, don't focus on that. I'm like, I know. But like, man, when somebody says some of the things they say directly to you, and you read it, because when you read something, that goes into your brain. And that there's a process to kind of unravel, to undo that. And it can take a second. I'm much faster now. I mean, dude, there was days people would say some shit, it'd fuck me up for the rest of the day. Sometimes a couple days I'd be fucking stewing on that shit. And the biggest ones were people that I've encountered in the wild, that I've had conversations with, that I've sold stuff to, I've helped out, I've given deals. And then they say something, you're like, whoa, dude, like, you turned on me pretty fucking quick, man. Like, I've literally never done anything wrong to you. And this is what I get back. But at the end of the day, it's good because, like, I only have space for so many near and dears anyway. So it's like, cool, I don't have to worry about your shit, and like, hyper focus on the people that matter, and really seeing, when I kind of going back to the following that we have, like, these fucking people give a shit, man. Like, some of the comments that, like, the things that people DM these, that they write, is like the most heartfelt shit. I'm like, can't believe someone would take the time to fucking write that and say the nice things. And then when we go to shows, they come up, dude, fucking love what you guys do. And it's so awesome to watch you guys grow. And they're a part of it as we are, and they're contributing to it. It's a fucking group thing. And that's what matters. And, you know, I sometimes got to get reminded. Luckily, I get reminded pretty often, because a lot of nice stuff comes across the plate to us. People write us letters. We've had people write fucking letters. Like, to Ben, they're like, I want that guy with the beard to do my hardtail. You know, the guy, like, mails a fucking he mails his check because he hits us up, hey, I don't have that fancy, man, whatever stuff, internet, and this is how, whatever, you know.
I get prison letters
because they have YouTube, so they watch Ben on YouTube, I guess. They install. And but so it's been a journey, dude, for sure.
We get prison letters.
Do you really? Oh, that's
and we send them to prisons, and sometimes they'll reject them. Like, I have like 1 or 2 magazines that are rejected from prisons, and like, we have nothing sexual and like, or like, you know, because we're trying to be like inclusive to every part of the chopper world. So we run bikes made by women, people of color, whatever orientation or gender you want to say you are, right? Like, so to like go like 60s Easy Rider spread, like, it's just not going to work for us. So it's often baffling, like, what gets rejected and why. And it's like, sucks for that guy. But yeah, we get prison letters.
That's so sick, dude. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, no, that like you said, and you and I come from the same, I think we have the same view on that. Like, my biggest thing here at the shop was like, and when we were interviewing dudes as they were coming in, like, that was a big one, is like really checking for chips on shoulders, right? And like, hey, is your ego gonna get checked? Like, I don't want you all of a sudden thinking you're something and you're being a dick. Like, if I ever catch you like being an elitist in any form, like, I'm gonna let you go. Like, we don't do that, man. Like, we want to embrace people coming into this because it's such a fucking gatekeepery type deal.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say about the comments too.
it's really high school. It's really intimidating. Like, fuck, I get intimidated going to Born Free and the whole thing. And like, I don't feel like I'm in that realm with those dudes. And I respect all the big builders and all that stuff. It's super cool. And I like what they do, but like, it's pretty clicky and shit. And so,
yeah, it's an
my whole
interesting
thing is being
world.
inclusive, and like that's why like our booth goes nuts when we're there, because it's like it's super welcoming and inviting, and that's like
No, I
because
spent a lot of time in your booth because you had air conditioning, essentially.
yeah, that too. It wasn't just our great personalities, dude.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But I think like that goes back to the comments too. Is like you said something lacking in their lives or jealousy, and it's like, and I said I don't know if I think that's true. I think more than anything, it's like gatekeeping it to keep it just for me and my friends, and that's like no matter where on the like pecking order of what the internet calls chopular or whatever it is, like there's that, and like I've always found that just complete and utter bullshit. Like I don't give an F about that. It's not my personality type. And
I'm laughing because I got called chopular recently, and I was like, "No way, you think I'm chopular?" It's pretty funny.
We got called it at issue 2, and it was like, how can we be like I think at that point issue 2 we probably sold like 500 copies, right? Like,
yeah.
Can't really be chopular selling 500 copies of a magazine. It's
well,
like,
and being chopular, I don't think is providing for the community, right? Like you're going out of your way. Like, sure, you're not fucking making $1 million fucking dollars on your magazine, right? Like, either
not even my job,
anything, but like we're providing things for the community. And I've had people say like, "Fuck these Krispy Co motherfuckers. That dude doesn't do shit for the community. Just fucking takes and blah blah." And I'm like, dude, I'm literally making a fucking parts line, and I give people the opportunity to win bikes for $33. Like, and we put on rides, and like,
and you hire people.
I hire people that are enthusiasts of it and they want to have this for a career. And I'm like, I don't know where you're getting this from, but it couldn't be further from the truth, you know?
Yeah. Well, even like this isn't like my main gig. Like, I don't really need to do this. Like, this is not my job per se. But it's like I've also not taken money from it really. Like, maybe once a year I'll buy a here or there out of some of the money, like once a year or so. But it all goes back into it. And so for us, it's like, yeah, we have a magazine. We're quarterly. We've outlived a lot of other people just by being consistent. And we put on like 2 shows that the whole model of the shows is the one is a ride-in that's totally free, like can't make money on it. And the other one, which you guys are coming up to, is like I charge $10 for the show, but it's only because I have to pay like $1,500 for the venue and insurance. Otherwise, it would be free.
Exactly.
Like, and like, you guys have, and we won't talk real money, but you guys have paid the highest sponsor level we have, right? Which is super low. And like our vendor cost is super low. Like, everything's meant only to get people access and to have them be part of it and have them make money and have fun. Like, it's not any kind of thing.
So,
and I think that's like, there has to be some of those people out there, and then there has to be people who are like, it's their life and passion and their livelihood and stuff. I think there has to be kind of a balance for that to find a kind of equilibrium. And I came across that idea, like I was a touring musician from when I was like 14 or 15 until COVID. So, 25 years or so. And there's always going to be the people who are super, it's their career, that's all they do. And like they have a different mindset. And there's going to be people who like, they go on tour once or twice a year, but it's not like their full career. And it all kind of works out in the kind of greater scheme of like a music community. And I don't think there's any difference between a music community and shoppers. I think they're the same thing, just the pun celebrated, the vehicle's different.
Yeah.
So that's
something that kind of gets misconstrued with us is that, Krispy Co itself is a year and a half old as an LLC and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
like I said, I've been doing this. I was at my dad's shop. He had a shop in Anaheim when I was 12 years old. You know what I mean? I was surrounded by it. We were going to Sturgis when I was a little kid. And then I worked in the shop when I was 17. I took over the shop when I was 24, like for the most part under his guiding hand, but like it was my gig. He supported me, wanted me to like really go for it. And I did. And went from bikes to general fabrication and always did bikes in between. But like they didn't, going through recessions and all that shit, like bike stuff's really, really tough. Cause it's the first to get dropped, like, or people get married or have kids, I'm the first one to get the phone call that like, hey dude, you want to buy my shit? And I'm like, I was paying my rent. I don't think I can buy your project back. You know what I mean? But, so yeah, like this has been my career in my life for most of my life. You know what I mean? Since I was a young kid. So it's like, I'm not, and that's the guys like, they think it's, and whatever, they can think whatever they want.
And that's what I'm saying. There's that balance, right? For there to be real culture of like,
and like
the guy who
like doing, if you just showed up out of nowhere, like you can't just like come up with parts and do the bike builds and like the business end of it. Like it's taken me a long time to be in the position to like do what we're doing today, and I didn't come from money by any stretch of the imagination. You know what I mean? My dad left me his toolbox,
1 second. Just making sure this is the guy. Yeah. Oh, quick detour. I have a guy who gets rid of my leaves and cuts my lawn, but he was supposed to come like 2 weeks ago and he never showed up. So I thought he never came. And he showed up today and I was at work and I was like, oh shit, I can't pay you. So he just showed up to grab the money. I'm just making sure that's him and not someone else walking out.
Yeah, nice, dude. Must be nice, man. You have people do your lawn. Just kidding.
Oh, well, yeah. All $70 I pay him. I mean, like, real nice guy, just super flaky about time.
Yeah, and I think you brought something up too, like that, how everything goes back into it, and like that's what this is, man. Like, and it's all back in there, dude. Like, I get really freaked out sometimes. Like, if people especially doing giveaways, like people can count your money, and people do, and they try to scrutinize me about it, and I'm like, man, if they
I see, yeah, like they're like, you sold this many tickets for $33, so all of a sudden they're like, well, you're selling a $8,000 bike for 30,000 or whatever, and it's like, well, that's not the point.
And they're actually not. Like, what people don't realize is like a shop built chopper, and you can ask any shop that is renowned, they're gonna tell you, if you went, hey, can you build me a bike for 10 grand? They're gonna tell you to kick rocks. They're gonna be like,
oh yeah, no shit. Yeah.
You got to be able to spend at least $20,000 to get a custom bike made by a shop. Like, you can maybe have like a Sportster modified, or you could bring them a bike and be like, hey, do X, Y, and Z, like kind of change it. But a bike from scratch with a rebuilt motor and all that shit, which every one of our giveaway bikes has a fully rebuilt engine, trans, like we dial them out. They're not even booger bikes, dude. They're actually legit, because they're bikes that we're planning to, because we want to have a production line of bikes. It's inherently why we do a parts line. And every bike we do gets closer and closer to like, we have a formula to build these bikes a lot quicker with proper stuff that we manufacture half the parts that go on them. Like, that's my big end goal. And like, luckily enough, we could do what we do to do it, but people count that money and they have no idea. It's like, one, we had to buy it, I had employees, I got rent. Like, I'm not a dude in his garage just like stacking this dollars, dude. Like, I mean, I don't even want to get into the finance end of it, but like, people only knew how regularly like we are upside down. It's fucking insane. And it blows my mind. I'm like, how the fuck? Like, we just already. And I'm like, but we're doing big things, and those create a lot of more fucking circles and commas, dude. Like, it's fucking crazy. And I've never in my life watched so much money melt through my fingertips. It's insane. I'm like, what, dude? Like, it's been tough. And I thought about it a lot of times. I'm like, dude, if I sat at my house and just did what I did, I'm like, dude, I could have fucking been buying houses, dude. Like, instead I did this, and it's super scary, because if it doesn't work, it could be to the point where I'm like, I fucked up, like, holy shit. Like, if I walk over this thing without anything, I'm going to be fucking bummed, because the risk was high, but the high risk, high reward, hopefully, but that could shift. Like, the economy could kick and all of a sudden we're screwed. Like, who knows, like I said,
How
I think about this all the time too. I'm like, I'm happy I'm learning this because I can inherently, if push comes to shove, like I could probably take everything I've learned about running this business and manufacturing and all that. We could take it into something that might be more profitable because like this might not be the best lane for like actually creating like an insanely profitable company and all that stuff that can really support a big team. So far so good, but and I always think like, dude, we just changed the widget, right? Like fuck pegs, like let's make, I don't know, I've got weird ideas in other realms too, you know what I mean?
saddlebags for adventure bikes.
Yeah, and we could totally go into it, or it could be something like, dude, we figured out how to make a fucking sick ass new dish soap. Like, who knows? Like, whatever, But at the end of the day, if it was all about the money, trust me, it wouldn't be fucking choppers. You know what I mean? There's a passion there that's like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword for me. I'm like, is this really the one? And to be honest, too, like talking about some of the other stuff, it's like when you think like, is this sometimes the thing that I want to support, you know what I mean? Like when you see some of the crowd and that, I'm like, is this really the one that like the horse I want to back? You know what I mean? But the problem is it's one, all I know, and two, like I'm so fucking obsessed with it. I can't like I'm fucking obsessed. It's crazy, dude. Like it's gnarly. If people even knew, it's like, dude, I'm an early bird, man. I'm a 4:00 in the AM guy. I don't party.
Sam was saying that he was like, "Oh, Alex is an early to bed, early to rise," and I'm like, "Well, that's fine because that's how I am too." So
yeah, nothing good happens after dark, dude, anymore. It never did in my life. I had to get my shit together, but like, no, the business end of it's fun. I love choppers, but man, I'm really obsessed with the business end and trying to like create this thing that supports people and like play this whole new game of like, I guess for some people might not be very stoked on it, but this new game of capitalism, right? It's like, it's still, it's fucking fun. Like, scary, but fun.
Anyone who makes something is exercising in the capitalist market these days, really. So, and if they say they're not, they're lying to themselves. But
yeah, if you have a job, you're working in capitalism. Sorry.
Yeah. And if you don't have a job and you're getting money from family, then your family was working in it pretty hard. So
yeah, it's you can't run away from it. Sorry.
It's just one of those.
Yeah. It's going to live in Alaska and hunt and shit and just live off the land. Like,
yeah.
That's the only way you can get away from it, dude, nowadays.
Yeah, that's probably as far as you can go in America. What's your like divide like as far as what percentage of the business, and not just money, but like effort and time, would be like merch, and what part would be parts, and then what part would be customer bikes, and then what part the giveaways? Like, how does that kind of all sort out?
It's kind of cool. It's like ever evolving because of like the upsweep that we're having right now. Like we're booked out. Like now we have time frames. It's like, hey, we probably can't see your project till X, Y, and Z because we have. They used to be really selling used parts was really big. Now it's like we barely even do it. I have piles of old parts. I give away half of it because it's not even worth selling because it'll cost more to pay someone to post it on eBay, to package it for fucking free shipping. It has to be free shipping. By the time it goes, I'm like, damn, I just paid $5 to give them that part. So now I just make big piles and give that shit away. And I only keep the gold nuggets that really will do well.
Mm-hmm.
So that has really slowed down. And then, so it's divided between like 6 people. So like really they're all high priority things and they're taking a lot of the bandwidth across, which inherently for me is extremely something I've been having to get used to, is having my bandwidth spread across every single thing because they're all very needy.
Oh yeah,
at the moment while they're being built and refined. So for me, it feels like they're all at 100% because it's fucking intense. But everybody's really finding their groove, and we're really dialing in on the services that we do provide. So like our hardtail service, which also includes like setting up their rear wheel, putting in their brake caliper, setting up their fender. So
wow.
We do a really cool thing where people ship, and I'm building this right now on the website a little bit cleaner, making like this rad menu. You pick out all the shit you want us to do. You ship us your frame, and we do that pretty regularly right now. Like at any given time, we have 2 or 3 of those projects going. So that's one department that's doing kind of like it's the DIYer that we do all the heavy fab end of it. We've got it dialed where we could do it all here and then ship it back to them, and they can start putting their bike back together with
Oh shit.
minor little things. Like we mount their tank, we mount their seat, we mount the oil tank, we mount the fender with a sissy bar, we set up their rear wheel, we mount their tire if they should, we do a tire for them too, or they send us their wheel, whatever, dial in their brake caliper and rotor and all that stuff, align the sprocket if we need to with the engine that we have. But we do all that so that when it gets sent back to them and everything gets bagged and tagged and labeled, really easy for them to start putting that bike back together. And we do all the fabrication, so they do all the boltercation, right?
Yeah.
So they can just boltercate their bike back together. That's been a really rad thing. We're doing it for big twins and Sportsters. So that's been fucking cool.
Sportster the whole run, or
dude, we're getting some newer ones which are a bitch, but we're dialing in on like the 05 and up shit.
That's a bitch.
And people hate it, and we don't inherently like it, but we've figured it out. So we're like, we'll provide it as one of our things. And like I said, the menu, you can go through it and everything's priced out. And it's the cool thing, as long as they use the products that we suggest, which are tried and true, and they should pick them anyways. And there is variety. We've got it down. We've got the fixturing for it and all that. So when we set people's stuff up, it's really simple. And like nowadays it's so much, everything's already made, like all the right fenders, all the right tanks, like it's all there. So that's one big thing. That's probably one of my favorites because we don't have to fire the bike up and get it running and all that, which is the hard part. So we just do all the easy fab fucking like making it look cool. And like, here it is in raw form. So those are my favorite. And then we've now got the commission builds, which are pretty gnarly. They're really complicated, and then they're taxing for me because when you build a custom bike for somebody, I wish it was easy enough to say that it was just building them the bike, but you also have to educate them on the bike because one, it's really expensive. So they want to really understand, why is this much? Why do we have to do this? I want that. Well, that doesn't work for that. So you end up inherently, you got to like teach somebody how to build a fucking bike while you're building a bike. So which now it's a lot easier for me having help with building the bikes and a crew, or by myself, that would just build my whole fucking day. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I talked to people all day. I didn't do 1 ounce of work. Because I consider work on the bike work, not customer service and whatever, which now I do. Now I totally know that is a job that is very important. So the commission builds are kicking. Like, dude, we've got shit coming from talking to people in France. We got
shit
dropped off from Canada that just showed up. We've got a bunch of people going into that. We have a whole system that we've built, and we try to be really. That's the cool thing with like Sam and our system is like when somebody approaches us, we have immediately documents that we send to them that outline the process of a build and budget wise is how this works, payment plans, fucking.
Oh shit!
Man, I wish people could see that end. It's not something we just would share. And one day I might just be like, hey, everybody, like this is what it looks like to get a bike built from us. Right off the bat, we have a preliminary document that explains that you're going to speak with me X amount of time. It's like it's all laid out and structured so that they know at every time what tier they're at with the bike and this and that. And we really try to, once again, exercise that we're the right fit for them, that you want a bike within our range, which is like using the parts that we want to use and all that. And it's kind of like, we don't want to go into these crazy blown out, which we have them, but I don't want to get too overly creative. Like, let's just build a simple chopper that's going to fucking function with
super
proper
clean.
parts. Like, you don't need a fucking $2,000 fucking crazy sissy bar. Like, that's cool. There's guys that'll do it. Go to them. We are not going to be that. Use our products. We want to be able to turn a bike out in 30 fucking days for a proper fucking cost. That's going to be fucking tits. Like, keep it simple, stupid. So that's like, with our bikes, like they're not, and I joke about it. I'm like, I kind of want to be like the Target of choppers, right? Like
you're going to say Target.
The Target, dude, like it's simple, it's affordable in those realms, right? Like a lot of people on Instagram think that Panhead on there is $15,000, $18,000. I'm like, yeah, on Chopper Swapper it is. That bike in a custom built shop, that's a $35,000, $40,000 bike.
Yeah.
When they're paying a shop their $100, $150 hourly rate, there's 100 hours. Like that's why I try to tell people, I'm like, just think about it. How long do you think it takes to build a bike? How many hours do you think? It's like,
Yeah.
I would just call it 100 hours. If a shop's $100 an hour, there's 10 grand right there just in labor. We haven't even touched parts yet. How much is it to buy a shovel head? A decent one, $5,000. We're at 15. Okay. Now you want to buy a gang of parts. I'm like, guess what? That parts list is 10 grand. I'm like,
Yeah.
there you go. We just hit $35,000 if I mathed it right. But like Chopper Swapper and those other realms have skewed that. And I'm like, go buy those bikes. And some of them look good. Some of them need fucking attention. They look great in pictures. But like, also, why is that guy selling that bike?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like,
they say it's because they need money, but they also might. I bought a lot of bikes that looked really cool, and I come to realize they sold it because they fucking couldn't get the thing running right. And I'm like, this is why this motherfucker sold this bike.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say that for every, $1,500 iron head.
Yeah.
You're going to get like 1 out of 10 that actually runs.
Well, that's our biggest push for Evos. And that's why and dude, I've been loving it. I'm seeing it all over the internet right now. Everyone's fucking totally talking up Evos right now. I'm so stoked. Like I've got a boatload of shovel heads and I'm like kind of ready to just part them out and sell them. I really want to push people into Evos, especially from us. And I want to dial in our Evo game. But Evolutions, dude, just like, Jesus, man, they just don't have the fucking problems of even like a well-built shovel head, man. That thing is still going to fucking leak on you, dude. Like,
yeah.
And a 4-speed, like they're just, if you're going to match that bike, you're going to come into issues. And a lot of people somebody can spend 20, 25 grand on a bike, like that motherfucker don't want to fucking work on it. You know what I mean?
There's a weird like kind of up and down with the Evo, the big twin Evo we're talking about for people listening. Not necessarily the Sportster, but like there was a while about 8 or 9 years ago where everyone was building big twin Evo choppers and they were kind of taking over, and then everyone ditched them to go older, and it kind of got sequential, right? Everyone went from shovel head to pan head, and then like some people to knucklehead if they have the money, but and the Evo kind of got lost in the shuffle, and now it's kind of coming back again. It kind of has this wild trend to it that I really want to look at that closer. I've been kind of thinking about it for a while, and it's like I think there's something there about a predictor of the economy with it in a weird way. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's science. There's always science, dude.
Yeah, there has to be something there other than just cult of image.
Yeah. So for me, and I'd say this a lot, like I've been through enough waves in the chopper scene, and like I said, I watch guys come in on a ratty old chopper and they leave on a fucking Dyna, dude. Like I've watched it time and time again. Watch people come in. I just want to ride. They're like, I don't want to work on this thing. So our goal is that, just get in on an Evo, and you're probably going to have multiple bikes in your
stable.
In your stable, dude. But like, I think have an old pan or an old shovel. But like, I think if you really want to rock a chopper, like, also have an Evo one in the game, because that bike's probably always going to be a runner, dude. Like the chances are that thing's not going to have as many issues. You're going to like riding it a lot more. And then when you want to do your nostalgia thing, like do it. Or you've got a Dyna too. But I feel like it's going to keep people on choppers a lot longer, because like, especially being in the shop, like I've watched so many people come in with these expectations and excitement for an old chopper and then realize like what it really takes to keep that bike on the street. And they don't have it in them, dude. Like, there's a small handful of people that can really handle early Harleys.
Yeah. Well, and that's the niche of a niche of a niche, right? Like, I mean, I think that's true, because even the earliest of Harleys, like, I have a bunch of flathead engines and stuff, like they're fucking tractors to work on and fix. Like they're tractors, like they're, fucking the engineering is almost barbaric compared to now, right? And nothing breaks that drastically until it totally shits on you.
Yeah.
But you have to know it and fix it. Like you're not going to go and take it to a shop, so it becomes a fucking problem if you don't research or you don't know, and then you're always working on it, which becomes a fucking drag.
Yeah, and farmers were mechanics because they
And
had to work
farmers
on
were
the shit.
mechanics. That's the thing, is like
Right.
everyone who owned those bikes, well, and everyone who owned early motorcycles, for the most part, knew how to work on a combustible engine
Yeah,
of
with the
some sort
carburetor.
because of the realities of farm work and other issues. But
Yeah.
that's totally
It's
lost
probably the
now.
best way it's ever been put, because I say that because I got a couple 45s too, and I was like, oh, they're fucking tractors, and Harley made them so when they were in combat, you could fucking ride up, throw that thing in the fucking mud, do
Yep.
your deal, pick it back up, it's going to fire right back up. But the reality of it is like in those short bursts, yeah. But over time, you got to like tend to that thing and,
Oh
keep
yeah.
rolling. It'll treat you well if you treat it well, but it's not a modern day fucking like. But even then, dude, there's auto shops on every corner too because new cars fuck up. Like
Yeah.
mechanics break, you know. Um,
Yep.
so even the Evos, like we talk them up, but they still have their quirks and they have their issues. It's still a Harley, right? But
Yeah.
just less.
Less and more people. There's more options for you to get it fixed by someone else if you need to than a knucklehead. Your options are super limited if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, but I've been seeing it in posts again. They're coming around. People are building fucking sick ass fucking Evo chops, and I'm like, ah.
A lot of
And
single down tubes.
yeah, and it was like, especially too, we were talking kind of early on, like the whole Gus bike, like it's a shovel head that he has, but like, dude, the thing's just like it's a fucking rider, right? With dual disc brakes and the stance for riding. Where like I build a lot of bikes that like I can only ride for fucking so long, right? Like I'm like, this thing, it's fun for like 20 minutes, and then you're like, shit, it's a fucking endurance test after that for your ass and like whatever. Like, look, no one ever said looking cool is gonna be fucking easy, but I think we're coming back into that realm where people want like performance bikes, but like still with the early club chopper type vibe. So that's
like the
awesome.
80s power bike
exactly,
vibe,
dude.
kind of coming back.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun era with like really rad, hot roddy type bikes.
Yeah,
and that shit's.
And you're starting to see it more at shows.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that might be a good segue. Let's talk about shows. You've been around for a year and a half, and now I think you've done the show circuit this year pretty hard. What do you think is the value in doing shows? And where do you think you see them going? Because I think back even 10 years ago, and there wasn't as many shows as there are. There's like so many shows now, and now they have shows that are absolutely massive. And there was like that break from the like later mid 90s where it started shrinking, and then there was a big boom with the big wheel bikes, and then it started shrinking again. Like, do you think the shows are the bubble's gonna burst again? Do you think there's great utility in it from a business sense? Like, let's talk shows a little bit.
Yeah, dude, you asked really cool. You asked great questions, dude. So there's two versions to that, right? There's like my personal opinion with shows of like being an active vendor and all that stuff at them, and then there's like what I think the culture is getting out of them. One, I think it's the biggest thing, like just to be like that guy that says the bandwagon shit, which is like, with the internet, Instagram, and like not the like digital realm, that like shows really give realness. Like people are like yearning for like fucking going out and fucking doing this cool thing. So it's really cool that some people have put together shows like yourself and to bring people out of the fucking shell and into reality. And motorcycles are a big thing for that because you got to do them outside anyways.
Yeah.
To a degree. But so I think that's really where I think the show's got a lot of value, and I think will hold their value is just with the
that like tangible.
Yeah, like just gonna fucking get people out to fucking go do something. And especially with motorcycles, like you need a destination. Like that's the biggest thing with the bike is like, I want to go ride my bike. Like where? Like you need somewhere to go. So like shows really give that. And motorcycle enthusiasts are diehards through and through. Like when people get the bug for bikes, like that fucking shit don't turn off, man. Even if they get weird about it, like they're always going to circle back. And that's why I feel comfortable in the motorcycle industry, is because it's just something I don't think you can break. Like it's so rooted in our history, and it's got so much availability for creativity and diversity, and like I think it's really cool in that factor. And then like for us in particular, you know, I wanted to go to every single show this year, and we rapidly figured out that one, with a real business with people, employees, and stuff like that, one, it's really expensive because I don't make these guys do this shit for free. Like,
No.
got to support the team if they're working it, driving. So like that added an entire cost thing to going to shows, which being small is kind of tough, but over time it'd be like, dude, and it's supposed to be the fun part of our job too. Even though our job itself is pretty fucking fun, but also, dude, you go to a show, you got to prep for it, like say a week in advance. And for us, we're building our stuff and displays.
Yeah.
So like, and you see our booths, like we try to make it kind of cool. So that's kind of really taxing. So like a lot of shit gets kind of put to the side while we get prepped for a show. And then you got the weekend for the show and the drive prior and the drive home. And then we kind of got to let people take some time off. And I tend to like not sometimes, and I'm like wigging out, like, fuck, I'm gonna die. Like, this is insane. You come back and you like, now you got to pick up all the pieces that fell before the show. So we kind of learned that shows were really tough. So we really got to be, really choose wisely which ones we want to go to. Which yours hit a few boxes, which is really cool. One, love where you live and where you're putting it on. We love you and the aspect of the show that you're putting on. And it's technically pretty close to us, and it's the best drive. It's the best direction, north.
Yeah.
North is the best. Like, I just want to go fucking north anyways. So, like, we're fucking juiced to come out to that, you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, like...
and Sam's from up this area, so that's cool, too.
Yep, we're staying with his parents in one of the spots. He's got cool parents, so... But, yeah, like... So that, and then, and honestly, for me too, it's like I like to foster relationships. So fostering a relationship with you and doing your show really means a lot. And being able to, like, dude, I was going to say that earlier. Like when you said about the sponsorship thing, and yes, dude, it was so like to be able to sponsor that for that amount. I was like really gracious, like really stoked to get our name on there. But we like you made something that like it was a no-brainer to want to support. Just so
cool. Thanks.
Like. There's things we get asked to do a lot of stuff, and it's like from people that I know too, and this and that. And it's like we only have so much bandwidth that we can provide without certain things getting harmed in that. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of children, and like you can't neglect some of them, dude. They'll go to prison. You know, like they'll do some burn the fucking house down if you don't take care of this shit. So then that's been a big learning curve, but yeah, like I said, you made something where like for me, I didn't have to think long and hard about it, you know. So kudos on you, and that's like honest. It's like we turned down a lot of stuff, and would love to support more and all that stuff. And like it's driving me crazy that we don't have an ad in your magazine right now.
No, we'll figure that out. It's okay.
Make sure that gets handled with Sam. We got to get that going. We're like it's crazy and trying to do all the facets, but like just really like not even just because we're talking right now, like really our support for you like goes far and wide, dude. Just so you know.
I appreciate it. Thanks. I think it will be a good show.
And I think that also stems from like just we share a lot of the same views and passions with the industry and even frustrations and hence why like I think we got right with like Prism and certain other things because like when you've gone through the trenches and you've like seen behind the curtains and like have had experienced certain stuff, like bonds can get built through that.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why people do long rides on motorcycles with a group of people. Like you do a long ride with some cats, like your relationships with them, as long as they don't get broken on that ride, like will be stronger than ever. You know what I mean? Like, especially being in a band and traveling and like all that. Like,
it's like a weird family dynamic after a while.
Fully, dude. Like I've built the strongest relationships on doing long rides and camping, and like you can see what people don't want to come home sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to go back. Like I could be a nomad for the rest of my life on this motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
Where in the world, but you know,
I think some people don't realize about shows though. Like to kind of circle back to it is the cost. Like you hit on it a bit about time away, like in quotes, time away from the office or the shop, right? But like some of the bigger shows, just the cost to like buy enough merch to be able to do the show
Mhm.
is pretty insane. Um,
Yeah.
and you know, you see a show like Born Free, which is like Disneyland for choppers. And I mean that in like a really good sense, not in
Yeah.
a really bad sense or a negative. But you know, your booth, like you just have to like for some of the smaller businesses, I'm sure they're ordering more merch for that show than they do for like their normal inventory run to begin with.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of like going back to being selective, you got to kind of figure out the balance of utility of cells versus just getting yourself out there. And I think your booth in particular is really interesting because they you have the merch and you have your parts and stuff, but the interaction I think is probably similar to how people gravitate to you on Instagram. The interaction at that show probably yields more sales after the fact than it does at the show itself, I would assume.
Tenfold, dude. It's all in the long game. 100%. And honestly, the merch thing was we didn't realize that either. We stacked a couple shows and realized we bought enough for the one, but then we don't have enough time to put an order in for the next one because
Yeah.
you're doing larger orders. Like you got to get in line, they got to be ready for you. Like it could take weeks to get your next batch, and then you're like, well, fuck, we can't just go there with we're all out of larges and fucking this or that. And like we went like party at the play, we sold out of all of our hats super quick. So we played everything safe too because we got to be careful, you know.
Yeah.
And those are big costs. When you look at a show like, and I'll just put it out there, like for us, it could be like a single show could be $5,000. You know what I mean? And you're hoping you go there and you sell enough merch to like break even on like the trip and labor and gas and all that stuff. But when Sam started making those cogs, I'm like, holy shit, it's that much to go to this? I'm like, I wish you wouldn't even have fucking told me. I would have rather just
Yeah.
fucking ignorance is bliss. You know what I mean? But once I know, I'm like, okay, like we're that type of business now. We're like, for us to do something like that, like it's more zeros and more common. Like we got to like,
Yeah.
it's a different realm. So, and hopefully we're kind of building this like, this thing's building quickly. So I just hope, you know, I always pray. I'm like, can we keep up with it? Can this last?
Yeah.
You know, like,
We
you know,
we did this thing where we went to like tons of shows at the beginning as a booth. And then we kind of actually started costing it out. And then it got less and less just because
yeah,
it's like we're gonna pick the ones that work for us the most and not do the show that is mostly like Dyna Bros and stuff because it just doesn't work for us financially. And we were like, well, it's just getting our name out there. And there is utility to that, but like I think that's probably the lesson that anyone listening to this should be is like cost out everything
yeah,
because at the end of the day, it helps you make a better decision.
yeah. We had a sad one, which was like, we really had it planned to go to Congregation, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and we priced it with, you know, shipping because that's, you know, North Carolina, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And,
Western North Carolina.
yeah, it was like fucking gonna be like 8 or 10 grand for us to do it. And then the time away and all that. And it literally like, I was like, fuck, like we literally can't afford it, you know? And it's not even
Yeah.
so much the money end of not afford it. It's like we couldn't afford Sam and I being gone because it's really important that it would be the two of us. And then
Yeah.
can the crew, you know, hang while we're gone? And it's like we're still so fragile and
Yeah.
infantile to a degree, right? That like we're still on the bottle, dude. You know, like we like
Kind of like on the middle of a teeter totter.
yeah. So in the years to come, these won't even be questions because we know the benefit of going to shows after we've done them. We're like, dude, they're super beneficial. Like
Yeah.
especially getting to meet like you know, like at Party at the Pin, we got to meet the owners and the main cats at like W&W and like foster a relationship with them. So like being able to bump elbows with people and then you get distributors that get to see, hey, these guys are really active. They're out there doing it. Like they want to see that shit too. They want to do your stuff. And we're ramping up right now to move our products into distributors, right? Like we've been putting a lot of work and effort into building a presentation that's really respectful. And like, I mean, the amount of time Sam has been putting into, this initial, like, cause it's all about your what is it? Your first fucking impression, right? So like, hey, here we are, is what we got. And we've done like, so we're getting ready to hit some people up and be like, you guys want to carry our stuff? So that's a big deal for us. And I know that's going to be a huge turning point because for us, like the scene is big. We've got 30,000 followers and like Lowbrow has 300,000 followers. So like there's a lot of people there, right? And we're only tapping into like a very small percentage of that. So it'll be interesting to see if we get accepted into those, bigger distributors, if they're down to, carry our stuff. And, can we meet it? That's a big one too. Like, holy shit, if they actually say, yeah, and they want X, Y, and Z, like, can we support it? And we have people that are helping us on the back end to be like, make sure you could do this. And okay. Yeah. And we know with our manufacturers, because we don't make everything, right? We have our laser cutter, we've got our CNC people, and we do all of our welding and fixturing in-house. But
oh wow,
we do depend on
the supply chain otherwise.
Yeah, totally. Our axle plates are made in Washington with hardtail choppers, which is cool. All the casting
really?
there. So when we say American made, it's all made in the U.S., dude. Most of it in California. Dude. And like, you got to think about that. Like, dude, that is a hard decision to make sometimes because we know the prices are different somewhere else.
That's just reality. I mean, we printed the first 12, 13 issues all in Olympia itself, one company, but their prices were so high after, you get to a certain point, you have to start looking elsewhere. So we've gone out of town now, which really hurts my heart.
Yeah.
But I had to. But I won't go out of country.
No, and I agree with that, dude.
But
and really, I hate to say it, sometimes, I could see where like you'd be like, hey, everybody, I know you don't want us to do this, but you don't want to spend any more money. So
it's hard
to do X, Y, and Z and figure out where we can make it at a price point that you guys are setting and wanting. Like we could set the price at whatever we want, but like we get feedback a lot from the internet and from other people say, hey, we could tell they're like, I want this, but it's just too much. And you're like, all right, let me figure out how we can try to get the price down. Because I'll ask them like, why aren't you buying that? Because we get like our key switch, for instance, comes off the back of the transmission, which we're getting the pricing a lot better. So those are made with CT Newman. The first round we did, really expensive, and price was at whatever. And everyone I ask, because they're like, I love this, is so great. I'm like, cool, why aren't you buying it? And they're like, it's just kind of expensive. And I'm like, yeah. So no matter how much someone likes it, if the price ain't right, they're not going to bend for it. Because they're like, I can buy a $20 key switch holder, dude, and be done. I don't need to buy a $240.
Yeah, but it's also, it's hard, like early manufacturing era. So I bought your guys's dog bone riser at Party at the Pen.
I think you might be the only one.
But like, and Sam was like, oh my God, really? Like, he's like, is it too expensive? I'm like, no, I don't. For me, I didn't care. But I could see where someone would be like, this is super cool, but at this price point, I can't afford it.
Yeah, $200 risers, like that's a lot.
And then wait, and then maybe never get back to it. And then eventually, when the prices come down or something because of quantity being out the door, get it. It's a weird, like, early innovation and early adoption is more expensive.
And you got to be careful with this too. And this was something that I was told earlier was like, be careful with like lowering prices because you can bum early customers out because they're like, damn, dude, like but hopefully they understand that they were part of that. And that's how everything is. Like, you look at like Tesla, like the new car shit, like in the beginning, their cars were really expensive. And he always promised, I'm going to get you a $35,000 Tesla. Right. And it hasn't happened, I think, until now. It took like 10 years to finally get there. But we need the rich people to like kind of fund the project in the beginning. And then eventually it comes down. But in the chopper thing, it's a little bit different because it's more blue collar. So it's like cats are going to go out of their way to spend the extra dollars. And then all of a sudden it comes down $100. I'm like, damn, dude, I should have waited to get that or something. So we try to be really careful that we don't. So we try to start things at like, you know, later on prices, knowing that we're going to work towards that so that we don't disappoint a bunch of people further down the road. We're like the stainless hex dog bones. Those are just, no matter which way you skin that cat, like they're just going to be expensive because hex is fucking super expensive. And I wanted to be the hex guy, and I realized that this is why nobody does it, because fucking hex is
that's super expensive.
Especially in stainless steel, it's too expensive. Nobody's going to fuck with that shit. And we haven't crossed the bridge into chroming yet, which we're about to start chroming stuff, which that's going to be a journey in itself. But we could make
you're going to have to get it done out of state.
Yeah, we have to, which we're really close to Reno, so it's fine. We just or I think we've got some people in Oregon too. So we're getting ready to do that, which will be really fun. And I think it's going to help because not everybody wants raw stainless parts. They would like some chrome. And so, but yeah. And honestly, I wish this shit can go faster because I'm like, I want to do this part now and this. It's a process. So it'll be interesting to see where we're at, you know, this time next year. It's going to be a whole nother animal as long as everything
What's
goes
your goal? Like, I mean, and maybe this could be like the last big question.
Yeah.
What's your goal in 1 year? Where do you want to be in 1 year from today?
A year from today, I would like it to where, to be honest, like the majority of the bikes that we build are manufactured bikes that are, when I say manufactured, that means it's starting out with a Harley platform. So we would always purchase Harley Davidson frame, engine, chassis. Like we'd probably just buy a Softail, and then we would turn out the chopper, same with shovel heads, and really only keep it in the cone zone. We would have a like 5 to 6 different style of bike, from like your East Bay chopper to your tough guy T-bar, you know, and everything in between, some split tank styles that will still change a little bit with handlebars, seat, whatever, but there'd be like, you blur your eyes and they would kind of inherently be the same because there's only so many genres anyways. But like that would be really, really dialed with a lot of our parts on them. And then that we would be, and like my big goal was like, I wanted a bike a week after a minute. And I was like, I wanted to get the cycle to where like, my goal is, I'm like, cause we could do 2 right now, but I'm like, there should be no reason where we couldn't, like a bike's coming off a lift every week. And then they're getting shipped all over the world. Right. To customers and stuff. So, like really getting that down and like having that chopper scene, like we really provide for that. And then having all of our products, probably having like, I think it'd be cool to have, maybe it's crazy. Like, I don't actually know the number of parts I'd like to have, because I'd have to see how many we have right now. I've already lost count, but I don't know, say it's, 50 products or something that are all in other distributors' hands as well. So we're manufacturing that. Most likely the building that we're in today would be maybe some manufacturing, mainly bike building, but we would actually have a warehouse in Grass Valley that would be more for our distribution and packaging and stuff. I don't know if that would be in a year. That might be 4 years or something. We do have like a 4-year plan. So yeah. And then the commission builds might, and service work for sure. We do service work right now, but that's kind of only just to support us. But I probably wouldn't stay in service work. It's not something that I really want to do.
Yeah, phase it out as other things phase in.
Yeah, it's really stressful, and it's kind of a bitch working on other people's stuff and expectations. And then it's really expensive, and nobody really wants to spend a lot of money having their shit worked on choppers. So it's kind of tough, but it's helping right now. So I think that would really be it, like a production line of choppers and a really nice thick catalog of products that really make, because dude, like everything I make makes my life easier. I can mount something in a fraction of the time, like our fender mount kit, where a fender used to take me 4 hours to mount with welding and making a bracket and this, that, and the other, where our kit, dude, we mount a fender in 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So the more that I can cut back on all of that, like the more affordable we can make a bike, because it's labor's.
Yeah, that's all the labor reduction.
Yeah, and then if we're making everything out of like with now laser cut, CNC pressed, simple parts that still are like, they still look great, but they're simple, right? And Prism is already really done that too in other companies.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at a lot of their stuff, it's all laser cut stainless and shit. So a big line of sissy bars, and where our catalog's big enough to make a lot of different looking bikes, but house a lot of our stuff. So
yeah.
And then I think our crew at 6 would look more. I think we have 5,700 square feet here, and the way that I have it divided out right now, we're at 6 employees. I think we want to get up to like 10 in this building. So
wow.
I'm rapidly in like, how do we keep bringing more people in? Because we need people in shipping and handling. You need office people and sales, and you obviously need builders and fabricators and production dudes and gals, and so like I think that's where I've kind of like made it was like I think 10 people in here is going to be, but like also it's hard because even though we've gone to 6, man, we're so tight. It's so crazy, like the family bonding that has happened, and I have these crazy waves of emotion all the time when I'm sitting there and I just look at everybody and what's happening, and I'm like, fuck, how the hell is this real? We all like really, really like each other, and we're all so different too. Like it's like as a parent, like having a bunch of kids, I like everybody's got different personalities and needs and emotions, dude. It's so much fun. And to kind of personalize a little bit is like Emily and I just chose to not have children. So this was part of my journey on this too, was like, this will be my kid. Right. Like I built my own kind of like inner family. And so we're really particular on who's here. And it's a choice between the whole group if someone's working or not. It's not just my choice. I have the choice of bringing someone in.
You want to keep that.
Yeah. But if they stay, that's a group decision. I'm a big advocate for group conscience. You know what I mean? Like I really value everybody's opinion here. Because, dude, and I don't want to make all the fucking decisions. It's exhausting, dude. Like I want people around that can help fucking answer some questions and like make some decisions with me, dude. Like I don't want to be the bearer of all that shit. So everybody here they all have a say in like a lot of what we do, and I'm pretty flexible for a stubborn fuck,
Yeah. I know how that goes.
You know what I'm saying, dude?
Got to be flexible until you can't.
Yeah. You got to be careful. I know things no one else knows, right? Like I bear the burden of the financial strain and the scary shit and the realities that we're up against sometimes. But that's the choice I made as the El Capitan. You know what I mean? So it's like I can't cry about it sometimes as much as I want support. And so I'm like, dude, fucking hear me out. Like it's hard. It's like, yeah, but motherfucker, that's what you chose. So, and I'm not alone in it. Like, these guys will support me through all that, So, yeah, dude, it's been fucking rad. I can't wait to see what comes. Like, I'm happy with where I'm at. Like, but I'm also excited for the future.
Hey, thanks for chatting. I think this is probably the longest one we've done, and that's no shade. It just time flies by, right?
I could talk, dude. Thank you, bro. That was so much fun. I actually forgot we were doing a podcast.
Do You Even, Shopper? Podcast is brought to you by The Ton Magazine, a quarterly motorcycle culture magazine out of the Pacific Northwest. You can find us at thetonmag.com or on Instagram at instagram.com/thetonmag.